Hi and welcome to another episode of the Trying Hard with Lyqa podcast where tayong mga trying hard in life, try to talk about the reality of situations pero our inability to let go of hope and our diba, dedication to keep trying no matter what. And today we're going to have a very special episode. Honestly, this is the one episode that I was looking forward to kasi sinabi ko talaga nung dinedevelop pa lang yung idea ng podcast na if we are ever to have guests on the show, the very first one has to be Joyce. So ano yan, talaga written talaga siya na requirement kasi if those of you who don't know it pa, the entire trying hard topic was actually something that I talked about in one of the older episodes ng Adulting with Joyce Pring podcast. And Joyce Pring, and yes, I said it na, is our very special guest kasi not just because she's one of the top podcasters in the country, not just because she's a great TV presenter and one of the best, if not the best, hosts that I ever had the privilege to work with, and not just because she's a fur mama just like me, but because yung Adulting with Joyce Spring episode na yon was where yung Trying Hard podcast idea was born. And I am so privileged to call her a friend. And she's here with us kahit na sobrang busy na schedule niya. So everyone just welcome Joyce Spring.
Hello! Hi, Coach!
I tried really hard to pronounce yung Pring with a really hard R, pero that's the best I
Yes.
could do for now. Hi, Joyce.
Almost as close as to how I say it. Joyce Pring. Pwede na.
Yun eh. Yun talaga eh. So, one thing that we try to talk about here in this podcast is how the people we look up to are still human and that we have a lot of different struggles din. And at the end of the day, trying hard lang din kaming lahat. Trying hard ako, inamin ko na nung first episode that we had together. And trying hard din ako, inamin ko every week in this episode. But the question would be, Joyce, sa lahat ng success that you have gained so far and all of the things that you will achieve by in the future, do you consider yourself trying hard ka rin ba o try hard ka rin ba?
Yes, definitely. Actually, excited ako because trying hard, that episode that we did together on the podcast was one of the most special episodes I ever did. Not only because I gained a friend out of it, you, but also because it resonated with a lot of people the way that I didn't expect it to. Kasi feeling mo kasi, pag trying hard ka, ikaw lang yung trying hard. Because nobody really, admits to being a try hard. Because most of the time, nahihiya tayo na, trying hard yan mag-English, trying hard yan maging magaling sa school, trying hard yan maging presentable as a person, di ba? And creating that podcast actually started a big conversation of how adulting in general is basically just each and every person trying hard to move on from the dependency of childhood and blossom into an adult that actually is capable of doing things and of thriving. So yes, I do consider myself as a big fat try hard as young as I was until now. Really until now. Kahit na you mentioned na there are a lot of successes already by the grace of God that I was able to attain. I still do feel like I'm a constant try hard, and I don't think you can ever be successful without ever being a try hard.
Okay, so one of the things then I talked about na rin sa kanila that I struggle with is speaking. So I was born with a stutter and a lisp, and it's something that I've had to overcome. Now a lot of kids approach me and they ask, "Paano po maging public speaker or motivational speaker or someone like you who has a very successful podcast or is a host? Are you born na magaling ka magsalita or are you born na born ka into having a good vocabulary when it comes to English or Filipino? Like, is it something you were inherently born with, or is it something that you had to try hard for?"
It was really something that I had to try hard for. And it's a story that I constantly reiterate because I feel like it's an important one that a lot of people need to hear. I don't come from an affluent family. Sobrang mahirap na family lang kami growing up. I grew up in Tondo, Manila. I studied in Tipaes Elementary School. I did have a time in my life where we were living sa Riles ng Tren, literal, sa Santa Mesa, Manila. I grew up in a public school before I went into a private school for a little bit, and then nag-public school ulit ako for high school and college. But literally nobody in our household spoke English. As in, ang language namin sa bahay is Filipino. And I was 8 years old. I think I was about to get into first or second grade. Tapos sabi ko talaga sa sarili ko, hindi ako matututo mag-English. Kasi I don't know how. Like, I'm already 8 years old and wala akong idea how to speak English. And so what I would always tell people that the reason why I'm very good at the language is because I tried very hard as a young kid to learn the language the way
Mm,
that it should be learned, which
mm,
is I read a lot of books, and then I listened to a lot of music. I watched a lot of movies. And also, more importantly, I had incredible teachers who were really
mm,
patient with teaching someone who had no idea how to speak in English. And at the same time, naging advantage sa akin na walang nag-i-English sa bahay. Because nobody could teach me without even trying bad grammar. Kasi walang nag-i-English sa bahay, walang even nagtatry. So wala ako napipick up na bad grammar, and wala ako napipick
mm,
up na 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 different kind of uh reiteration of words. So that's how I did it. And even when I was younger, I've always felt like I didn't know how to speak English well. So I'm not even kidding. I
mm,
think I was probably in my high school or parang late grade school years ko. Ang ginagawa ko nun, whenever I read books, I would read them out loud. And then I would
mm,
hear myself, listen to myself, paano ko ba pinopronounce yung words? Am I stumbling through these words? Am I pacing right? Am I using the punctuation marks as a way for me to go through the sentences and the paragraphs the way that I should? And then I would redo it over and
mm,
over again until I'm able to speak in a way that I actually approved of. And I would do this for many, many years. Sometimes sinusulat ko pa siya. Talagang sinusulat ko
mm,
para gumanda yung language ko and para ma-pick up ko. Tapos hanggang ngayon, I still do that. Whenever I read books and then hindi ko alam yung word, ini-encircle ko siya. I have a notebook specifically for quotes and for new words that I learn. Or minsan ang ginagawa ko, I'm reading a book and then I encounter a new word. I write it down in a what do you call this, in a post-it. Tapos para sa buong chapter na yun, para hindi ko muna gagamitin yung phone ko to check up the
mm,
definition. So sulat ko lahat ng words na hindi ko alam, and then tsaka ko
mm,
siya i-check after I read that chapter. So my whole transition and learning of a new language, of really communication, has been a big fat try hard for myself. Like, I really tried hard to be better, and it wasn't always easy. I haven't always been good at it. I don't think I've even reached the pinnacle of it, pero I'm improving. So
mm.
yeah, I hope that answers your question. No? Haba ba nasagot ko? Sorry.
It does, it does. And I love how you gave us a breakdown ng mga things that they could do. That's very practical yon. Ayan ha, hindi na lang ako yung nagsasabi sa inyo when you encounter an unfamiliar word, isulat ninyo, try to use it, try to integrate it sa vocabulary niyo so you wouldn't forget. And that language can take years. Joy said years, no? And that, ano ba, that very brave na questioning ng sarili mo kung wait lang, did I say that right? Can I try it again? Tapos i-break down mo pa where I messed up, and then i-redo mo yung certain things. And I think that's a huge aspect of us trying hard in life kasi it's not naman the case na everything you try automatically madali na sa'yo. Like there will always be struggles and speed bumps along the way and even full na wall ng harang. Pero the thing is we can chip at it every day. Joyce, I want to ask this, no? Kasi the journey I think is very unique then for you. You said that you didn't come from an affluent family, which is something that I can relate to. You said you're from Tondo, Manila. My mom is from Tundo. So it was Tundo in the 70s before it became Tondo. So I could relate a bit about that. But how did you become the Joyce Pring that we know? If you didn't have that magical surname or the backing, yung family connections na meron yung ibang tao. Kasi a lot of people think that in order for you to be a celebrity, dapat anak ka rin ng artista or dapat mag-viral ka muna or something like that. Like, how did you get from that kid who was trying hard at school and in life to who you are today?
I became a college student who was trying hard before I
That's
became
it.
the person that I am today. So it was a transition of age, but a continuance of being a try hard, I guess, what you
Mm.
could say. I was a student in UP. I was studying fine arts, major in Viscom. I had to work because my family didn't have money to even pay for my college. So what I did was I was actually working for a BPO offshore company as a
Wow.
copywriter. So basically, what I was doing was nag-work ako from 12 midnight to 9 a.m. And then I had my first GE class sa AS ng 10:30. So,
Wow.
kailangan kong magtrabaho sa Eastwood. So, I was working at Eastwood at that time. And I was 17 ha. To the point na I was 17 years old. I was like first year college. So, I had to ask for like a letter from my mom na i-sign niya na pwede akong magtrabaho before I could work there. And that was the time also I don't know if I could share it on the podcast, pero sobrang wala akong pera nun. Ang diet ko lang is Yossi and an energy drink. That was it. So that's how I survived college. And after a few months of working in a BPO company as a writer, not having any sleep, and then still not being able to sleep because I had to create my plates for fine arts.
Mm.
My friends were like, alam mo, you should look for a different job. You speak well naman. And at that time, meron kasing forum sa I forgot where it was. I don't think it's Facebook. Pero may forum na kumakalat na Cuties of UP. Something like that.
Mm.
Tapos for some reason, nasama yung photo ko doon. And it became like a big ruckus in our college na, oh, merong isang taga fine arts na nakasama dun sa Cuties of UP. Anyway, naging open yon na I think it became an open invitation for a lot of the other students to kind of connect with me. So
Mm.
I actually connected with someone from UP Film, and tinulungan niya ako to create an audition tape for a VJ search that was happening that time. Fast forward to I won that VJ search, but then I lost the job after 1 year. And then I just started doing digital stuff since 2012. Meron akong YouTube channel, and then I would just create
Mm.
videos and then be online. And it just started gaining traction. And honestly, I think that was really a season of me trying different things,
Mm.
and also people calling me a tryhard because I had no idea how to host. Pero after I did that VJ stint on TV, I would constantly say yes to hosting gigs kahit gaano kababa pa yung TF, at magbabas ako papuntang Alabang para mapuntahan yung event na yun. Kasi I wanted to be better at the craft. Like, yeah, okay, you
Mm.
tell me I'm a bad host. Sure, I agree with you. I'm a pretty bad host, but I'm not always going to be a bad host. So talagang I would do gig after gig after gig na kahit na sabihin natin sobrang babalan yung TF ko at that time, because I wanted to hone my talent, and I always thought of it this way. If I'm not excelling at it, if I'm not,
Mm.
being popular for it, it at least is giving me the training that I need to for me to be able to build up my skill set and also my credibility. So I did
Mm.
that for maybe 2 years before I got back into TV, and before I got to radio for the first time. So a lot of people would always say na, si Joyce broke into the scene so quickly. Like, she was doing
Mm.
radio for a bit, tapos biglang nag-TV na siya kaagad. That's not true. I started with TV a long time ago, and then I stopped TV for 2 years. I had to
Mm.
hustle it out with live events. Nag-host pa ako nun, like, ng mga Christmas parties and the Halloween parties ng kids.
Wow.
As in, talagang any work that I could get, I would do it. Ganong levels talaga. And yeah, so that's how it really started. And then eventually, radio came, and then I went into TV, and my digital work picked up. But it wasn't instantaneous. It was a
Mm.
lot of hard work, it was a lot of trying hard, and it was a lot of rejection also. A lot of people telling me that I
Mm.
didn't deserve to be where I was. I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't particularly talented enough. And to this day I still get those comments. Like, literally, somebody just commented on my Instagram kanina, like, ang pangit talaga ng mukha mo, tibukat. Sabi ko,
Huh?
may asawa po ako na lalaki. At saka, okay, sige, gets ko naman yung pangit yung mukha ko. I'll give it to that person. But yeah, it still happens. So, I guess it's the journey, the long short of it.
Mm.
So, yun.
Mm. Yeah, it's always a journey, no? Pero whoever that person is, anong pangit? Like, anong standards niya ng beauty to call you pangit, no? Anong papasa na maganda sa kanya kung pangit ka? Hindi naman siya pangit, no? Hello, Joyce Pring yan.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, you mentioned yung VJ search. That was the first time that I heard about you, honestly. Kasi nagkaroon ng parang pa-vote campaign sa Kisay. So just for the people who don't know it yet, pareho kami ng high school where we graduated from, which is Quezon City Science High School. Represent, in fairness ha, ang daming mga influencers, may air quotes yon, na galing sa Kisay. One of the great creatives then na younger, I think it's Daryl, is his name, or Darwin, is also from Kisay. Ano naman siya, filmmaker siya, who teaches sa TikTok kung paano mag-film on a budget. So anyway, that is where I first heard from you. And thank you for sharing that. Like, not a lot of people want to talk about the journey. Parang they see the end point, tas they applaud that, pero ayaw nilang balikan na yung past nila. So it's an emotional journey then.
Yeah.
And you said na yes ka sa birthday party tsaka sa Halloween parties. Ako rin dati, lahat po mula binyag hanggang sa burol, hinuhost po namin yan. So yung part na yan, just so I can overcome nga my anxieties and also practice speaking in public. I had to say yes to a lot of things then. Tapos you said you were riding a bus. Ako ang ginagawa ko para makatawad ako ng mataas na TF sa gig. Mag-jeep ako hanggang dun sa medyo malapit na. Tapos magta-taxi ako hanggang dun sa final destination. Para at least darating ako na naka-taxi. Pero sa totoo lang nag-jeep ako.
Ah.
So
Smart.
thank you for sharing those stories. Like, a lot of the young adults watching this now, maybe they don't see pa how what they're doing right now is an investment into what they'll turn into in the future. And how yung mga maliliit na bagay na yan, opportunities that you can say yes to, can lead to an even bigger opportunity.
Yeah.
Hi, okay. So yun pa lang, ang dami ng takeaway doon, no? And just again, learning from you, Joyce, always an opportunity din for me. Question pala, when it comes to being a tryhard din, have you ever experienced naman asking yourself, and this is for me ha, kasi I think we're used to trying hard and failing, or trying hard and not getting what we expected. Pero have you ever experienced na you tried hard, tapos maganda yung output, maganda yung response, so you could call it a success, pero you don't know exactly how to feel about it? Kasi medyo ganun yung feeling ko ngayon eh. Like, sanay ako mag-fail, pero when I succeed, I don't know how to take a compliment. I don't know if I could call myself successful right now. Or when people say na, oh, coach, I'm a fan. Or coach, thank you for helping me. Like, laging awkward yung, okay, thank you, bye. Ganun na, exit na ako. So, how do you deal with that when you actually succeed?
Funny because I'm exactly the same way. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Okay lang ba yun? Oh, okay, nawala na. Sige. Ayun. I'm exactly the same way, and I think a big part of the way that I overcame that awkwardness is really understanding that everything that I've ever been able to achieve and all the goodness in my life came thoroughly from God. As in, yun lang talaga.
Mhm.
Parang
Yeah.
there is a lot of work that I had to put in, but all of the opportunities that I ever was given came from the Lord. And anytime that somebody tells me, oh, galing mo mag-host, galing mo mag-podcast, galing ng ginawa mo sa life mo, from those challenges to now the successes that you enjoy, I always tell them that yes, there is a lot of hard work that went into it, but most of it, all of it, really, the glory goes back to the Lord, because
Mhm.
God created me the way that He did. You know, He created me to have that kind of grit and that passion to try harder, even though I fail so many times. God is the one that gives me opportunities that I would have never been able to get,
Mhm.
especially because I have no special connection whatsoever in the field that I'm in. God is the one that constantly gives me the courage and the skill set and the credibility and the protection that I have. And I can no longer be awkward about that. You know, I still am sometimes. It's still hard to say, thank you, but I always just say praise God, praise God
Mhm.
that I'm able to do what I love and that I'm able to do it well. And at the end of the day, I'm so happy that other people acknowledge it, that they say that, hey, that's a great job that you're doing. But more importantly for me, I always have to ask myself, have I done it for the glory of God, or was I doing it
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to glorify myself? And it's not always a good answer. Sometimes you're faced with the sinfulness of your heart and you're just like, Lord, saved ba talaga ako? Kasi bakit ganito? Ang basura ko pa rin. Sure ka ba? Saved ako? Asan na yung Holy Spirit? Sabi mo, promise mo yan, di ba, bago ka bumalik? Asan na siya? But then there are also wonderful moments where you're just reminded na, oh nga, you're so far from who you were before. And you don't even, like, nakakahiya na to take credit for what I'm able to do. I always just tell people it's God. It really is. And I see that every day. Alam mo, kahit na yung mga taong nami-meet ko, like my management, who also just, alam mo ba that I was rejected by all managers before? Like, hindi
Wow.
naman rejected, pero laging hindi okay yung relationship namin. Parang, laging nag end yung contract ko, tapos parang sila, wala nang pag-asa tong batang to, or ayaw kong gumawa ng certain project, so naiinis sila sa akin, so they let me go. Minsan naman, character difficulties, hindi kami magkasundo. And then, after so many years, I found the manager, the first manager I ever signed up with, as in legit, um, VCM with Mama Betcha Vidanes. And that was like 2016, 2017. We've had such an incredible relationship since. And she also happens to be a Christian. Tapos yung RM ko si Ate Rona also just happens to be a Christian. Like I cannot fathom that being just me working hard enough to create opportunities for myself. It really is
Mm-hmm.
God paving the way and me following where He leads. So,
Yeah.
and even you, imagine, di ba, we met randomly at a Google event and so happened to be both Shenshan, so happened to
Oh
have
my.
the same kind of diba, rapport or have a great conversation. I always find that God is always surrounding me with good people like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
anytime that somebody tells me that I'm doing well, I always just say praise God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned it, no? Kasi it's the same way. I think I know that we have listeners who aren't necessarily Christian or didn't grow up in the Christian faith, no? Pero
Mm-hmm.
I think what you said is like the perfect representation of how the things that we say aren't just things that we say kasi Christianese siya or it sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really rooted in experience. Kahit ako when I say that all of this is by Him, for Him, and through Him, it's literal. It's not just I'm saying it because it sounds right. It's quite true. Kasi if hindi mo makikita yung hand ni God in all of this, I literally wouldn't even be here. And physically here, as in I wouldn't be here, pero God saved me. So I think for those of you who are struggling right now and listening to this, it takes a lot of courage, I think, then for Joyce to keep saying na, okay, it really wasn't easy naman when it started. So if you're going through tough times right now, Kaylee's snoring, no? She's not going through tough times right now. She's having a great time. So if you're going through tough times right now, it's going to be a part of your life, but it's not going to define you. You said kanina rin, there's a but that you added in your statement. Like, I'm not a good host right now, but I will be. You said I
Mm-hmm.
will be it. And I think a bit of a takeaway then before I forget is that whatever you're in right now, in whatever situation that you're in right now, or whatever you're trying hard to be right now, it's okay to acknowledge na we're terrible at it. Like ako ngayon, let me just say I'm a terrible host. Hindi ako magaling magtanong when it comes to interviews. But I will try my hardest na the next time I invite Joyce back, it'll be a different tone na mas confident na ako kahit papaano. It's great me talking to you, Joyce, and it's a privilege to be your friend. Having the same
Thank
values
you,
and
Lord.
trying to make it in a very tough world with eyes on you, and having that courage to point everything back to God is a different story. Okay. So for those of you who have your own belief system, your own faith, don't be afraid then to take that as part of your identity. It's who we are. We can
Mm-hmm.
separate that. Okay. Question next, Joyce. I know you've tried a lot of things in your life. You mentioned it already before. Pero in your life right now, is there something else that you want to try? Meron pa bang hindi na ma-master ang the Joyce Pring? Something new that you want to be?
Motherhood, I guess.
Oh, I
Oh
was
my
hoping for that
gosh.
answer.
Were you really? Bakit?
Hindi kasi I think part of adulting now, but part of life din is raising a new generation. And I think, kahit ako parang ano yung participation ko dito. Pero I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you said that. So if
Yeah.
throwing back in 5 years from now, and I'll hold you accountable to this. So if you have a child, pwede niya balikan tong episode na to. What kind of mom do you want to be? Na lang siguro.
I
Do you want
want
to
to
try to be?
be. Yes, I would pray to become a, I guess, a compassionate, encouraging, loving mom. That's really it. My husband and I, we talked about this recently, and he told me straight to my face, because you and I are both alike in the sense that I feel like you're also not comfortable talking about emotions a lot,
Mhm.
and I'm the same. So my husband had to as in yung sanctification process ko in this marriage was huge, because I had to be more empathic
Mhm.
and slow to speak, and had to be more vulnerable in our marriage. And he told me that, you know what, love, one of the things that I want us to practice now as a couple, para when we have children we could apply it, is that we are not afraid to talk about how we're feeling, that we will not be judged for what we're feeling and what we're going through, that we could be honest with each other and tell each other, hey, I'm not happy, or I'm not comfortable, or whatever it is that you're feeling, and you will
Mhm.
just listen and be there for each other. So when he told me that, I was like, that's such an important thing to have. We never had
Mhm.
that in my family before. Not a blow on my parents or anything like that. But when you're poor, you don't think about those things. My parents were too busy. My mom, actually, because she was a single mom for a bit. She was too busy working hard. She was too busy
Mhm.
trying to fight for survival, na hindi na naiisip yung mga ganong maliliit na bagay, that now, because we're privileged enough to be a complete couple, that we are privileged enough to have a comfortable lifestyle, we can actually think about those things. How can we be more compassionate and encouraging towards our children? So that's what I want to be. I want to be able to teach my kids. As in, gusto ko mag-homeschool, like, kaya ituloy mo na
Oh.
yung videos mo. Baka lalo pang bumaba yung, yung age na umpisa ng mga pinapanood ng videos mo. And I want to be able to, I think we've already had this conversation starting in our society, where being whether you want to be a single person, a single woman with no family at all, that's valid. Or if you want to be a homemaker, just a homemaker, that's also valid. Or you can be a career woman and a homemaker. All those things are valid already. And I honestly feel like God has blessed me with so much during my singlehood, that now that I
Mhm.
want to become a mom, I can really focus on just being a mom. I don't mind leaving showbiz and not doing TV anymore, and like literally taking not taking care of my channel anymore or anything like that. Talking podcast na lang. Pero I think you're right. We're raising a new generation, right? You're doing it by your content on social media, which is absolutely amazing. You get to impart your knowledge, your wisdom, your insights, your experiences to so many people, and for some of us naman, those who are already married, you can also be a great figure in their life. And then for some of us naman, those who are already married, you can also do that in a way where you raise children and you mold them from a mother or father perspective. So yeah, that's a very long answer to your short question.
No, but
But it's
I'm
motherhood,
excited for
so
that.
that's
Yeah.
that.
I mean, mothering naman, I think it will be special for you kasi there will be like a physical child na half of your DNA is nasa child na yun. Pero mothering can come in different ways din naman. I know those who listen to us, some of them are titas, no? So mga dakilang
Mhm.
titas. So in a way, that is also you being a mother to other people. So thank
Yeah.
you for the kind words again, Joyce. And I'm excited to watch you raise a child. Like, when you got married, let me just say this, no? As in, I turned to Zandy, tapos sabi ko, really? Oh my. Sabi ko, kasi nga, I knew that we were similar in many ways. It's going to be an adjustment, but I'm so grateful that you're having us tag along din sa journey. Kasi you
Mhm.
being married and happy with Voncho gives me hope na posible pa rin pala for me, no? Kahit ang strong ng personality ko din. So anyway, thank you for
Kayang-kaya
giving
mo.
us single titas hope.
Ano ka ba, coach? It's gonna, kayang-kaya mo yan. You just have to, well, the Lord will bring you a person who will complement your personality. Honestly, that's all my husband is. We're such opposites. As in, my husband is so slow. He's so chill. He's just, he's not neurotic at all. And I'm sitting here. I'm just the most neurotic person I know. How can he survive that? God's grace yun. At saka
Oh.
counseling before we got married. And sobrang
Mm.
bilis. But once God blesses you with that right person, we went through counseling. We got married. That's it. It's
Mm.
just magto 2 years pa lang kami. Pero ang dami nang nangyari. So, I'm
Yeah,
rooting for
marami
you,
pang
Coach.
adventure pa yan. Sana next episode, it's going to be different, maybe a slightly older us. But I think siguro one thing na I could be confident in saying is that if hindi nabura ng life yung pagiging trying hard namin mula nung bata kami, trying hard pa rin kami even 5 years into the future or whenever, wag naman 5 years, no? Whenever we shoot a next episode.
Yes.
So, Joy, siguro quick message. Bilang introduce mo rin yung possibility of mothering by the form of content that we put out. For the, siguro motherless few out there who are listening to this, hindi naman literally motherless, no? Pero for those of you who call us moms, have you been
Mhm.
called a mom pala online na, Joyce?
Yes,
Kasi the kids, di
I
ba, they
have.
call, oh, Mama Lyqa. Tapos parang nagugulat ako.
Yes.
Tapos yun pala, it's a thing, no? So
Yes,
for
it is
the
a thing.
yeah, for the kids out there who call us or their mamas, any advice for the trying hard kids?
Oh my goodness. To all the trying hard kids, keep trying hard. There's
Mm.
virtue in that, and you have to realize that most of life is just literally you trying hard to be better. It never stops. Do you think that when you reach a certain point of success or quote unquote happiness that you'll stop trying hard? That's not true. You're going to keep trying hard to be better until the day that you see your creator again, because that's it. That's life. That's life is just about change. Life is just about being a better person than you were yesterday. It's not about comparing yourself with others or with the timelines of others, but it's really comparing yourself with who you were and see who you want to become. And that's the most important thing about you. And don't even think of trying hard as a way for you to acquire things, like acquire
Mm.
success or acquire fame or acquire clout, whatever it is that you think you should be acquiring. Think of trying hard as a way for you to become the person that you were always meant to be. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. That person doesn't have to be a successful, super famous, super madaming pera person. You can even be a simple person that gets to change and influence for the better the life of one
Mm.
person. And that will have been enough. So I want you guys to keep trying hard and keep thinking of ways to be better, because at the end of the day, that's all we can really do. We can never attain perfection, we can never attain complete satisfaction, but we can always try.
Wow. That's beautiful, Mommy Joyce. Thank you for that advice. Ang daming pwedeng himayin sa episode na to. It's just that, again, medyo, i-keep natin yung some of the things for some time else, no? Marami pa namang opportunities for that. Thank you again, Joyce, for being with me today. Paki-promote na ang iyong social media accounts. Let's help Joyce out sa YouTube. Sa podcast not so much, pero I don't think a lot of people have discovered your YouTube account as a source of quality content din. So please tell us about your social media accounts na.
Sure. Thanks, Coach. I really am so happy that we've become friends. I'm so blessed by you. I'm so blessed by how authentic and helpful you are, how you try hard in everything that you do, and that inspires us all to try hard. And really, you're such an inspiration to a lot of people, even to myself. You even talking about transitioning to TikTok because you have to be where the young people are if you want to help them. That takes so much, because for some people like myself, may pride ako na, I don't want to learn a new thing, for other people. Like, if I'm not comfortable, I just won't do it. But you're that type of person that's willing to be uncomfortable for the benefit of others. And that really is such a blessing. Thanks for that, Coach. It's so fun to be on your podcast. And I really hope this won't be the last time that I'll be on your podcast. And yes, please don't forget to follow me on YouTube. It's Make the Right Choice. I do put out content there. I stopped creating vlogs because my vlog before was just travel, and since we can't do that anymore, it's a lot of adulting with Joyce Spring clips on YouTube. And you can listen to my podcast called Adulting with Joyce Spring. Follow me on all my social media accounts at Joyce Spring. And you can check out my website if you want show notes, articles that could help you out with your adulting at www.joycespring.com. That's
Yeah.
it.
Thank you, Joyce, again for your time. I know you're a very busy woman and demanding ang mga fur babies, so I won't hold you na for long. Thank you for your time today. And everyone, I know marami kayo napulot, so if you learned anything from this episode, again, you can tag us. Joyce is also online. You can use the hashtag trying hard with Lyqa. That's trying hard with Lyqa ha, para tama yung spelling. So you can find your comments then online. And follow if you haven't yet. We'll talk to you sa susunod na episode. Again, in this podcast, we're not afraid to dream big, work hard and start now. And be called trying hard in the process, pero okay lang yan. Let's just keep trying. Thanks for listening and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.